We're live now. I set it all up that my book was right here and everything, and now nobody can see it.
Yeah. All right.
Boy, am I ever close to the screen.
Yeah. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. So how are things?
Good.
Good.
Good. Yeah. Everything's good. Working hard, sort of.
Working hard. Yeah. I'm really excited to hear all about what's going on with you. So because you've taken a bit of a pivot, so I'm just gonna do a little bit. So anybody that is on the call here, I don't even know what people can see because of this new setup. And
so how does this work? This is like live stream and people come on the call and watch us?
Sometimes people will show up and go chat with us. Yeah. So I just want to make sure we got, so some people are going to show up, and this is so casual. It's just,
I'm just getting some water. So hold on. I'm always off screen when I do this. I thought maybe I should just get some water in advance, but it didn't work. Okay. Wow.
Okay.
It's new and everything. Yeah. Okay, great.
And now we're shifted around in a different way. So anyway, I'm just having fun here with this new weird layout. It's strange.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so anybody that doesn't know already, anybody that sort of signed on, and I most of the time I don't know who has signed on unless there's going to be comments. And with this new functionality that I'm seeing on, I use Reframe that, I have no idea who's on the call or not. But anybody who doesn't know, Doris is my book publisher. So I guess I'll bring it down here because it was in the background. But
yeah,
my book, Create, Connect, Convert, you were instrumental in helping me get that launched and published and making me look so fancy. So, thank you for all of that. I think without your encouragement, I don't know if a book would ever have gotten published at all. So I have you to thank.
There you go.
You've pivoted, so now you're really, let me just make sure that I've got it here. So you and your team at Liquid Ink, you're really focusing on customized welcome packages for coaches, consultants, and course creators, right? And
that's right.
Just a bit of a background, it's like a first touch point and can set the tone for what it would be like for clients, what their first experience is going to be like. And we know you're much more of a branding expert than I am, even because your whole background is all branding. It's all branding all the time. So so tell me more about this launch of.
Yeah, we actually had been doing it a little bit when we were still doing publishing, and because when we were doing the publishing, we were really doing the nonfiction subject matter expert books, and I had slowly kind of offered like fulfillment for those books. And then, just before COVID, it really, I found a few clients that had welcome packages. So what we've done is we kind of worked with them and then kind of added to their packages. But generally, they are doing a lot of courses where people sign up and, especially with COVID, everyone's virtual. Normally you would hand these out in the in-person course. And they can be from workbooks, notebooks, some branded swag, things like that. But especially since COVID and we're all at home, they're doing webinars and so forth. A lot of these programs are like from, a few $1,000s to like tens of thousands of dollars. So we want to provide the the people who sign up to these courses, this beautiful package that they get to receive and kind of feel very welcomed by the program and the person who's providing this, learning, basically.
That first impression really does make a difference insofar as, just, to your point, like it's really an investment in the commitment. Like you've committed in my business, now I really want to commit to your experience, and it's really beneficial, right?
Yeah.
I think it would be kind of pricey, though. I mean, I think it would probably be a good investment. But you're right. When people are spending $3,000-$4,000 on a course, then really that first welcome package is probably not.
Exactly. Yeah. So our team kind of took it like, I'm sure you've done it, Leslie, like you've bought things online, and depending on who you're buying from, and we're not talking about like the big companies like the Gap or anything like that, but we're talking about like these, like makers. and they like really care about the things that they've made. It could be a candle or whatever it is. And when you receive that, like I've seen many packaging, right? Like the candles are like wrapped in brown paper, and then they actually have a wax seal on it. It's just beautiful. And then they have all these care cards and how to buy more. They get these extra things. So when you see our welcome packages, that's exactly, like that's what I think about for my clients, right? Like, we talk about branding. We've talked about branding many times, you and I, right? Branding is really not what people think. People think branding is a logo, a color, a font choice. It's more than that. It's really, the brand is really about experience. So actually swinging back to like places like the Gap, everything's an experience. You enter the store, there is music playing in the background. The store is set up in a particular way. You're greeted by a greeter. Then you got, a salesperson helping you. What's your experience in the change rooms to how do you cash out? Now, this is us taking it like in a virtual sense, right? So, like on my team, we kind of think about everything from the labels. Well, I mean, Canada Post, our labels are you have to they standardize, right? But it's what's the box look like? How do I close the box? So we put like branded vinyl labels to close them. Then, like that participant opens it, and then there's like, it's wrapped in tissue. We got a few crinkle papers. There's it's wrapped, and then there's like a little message. Some of my clients will have us personalize a card, and they provide us like, this is a personalized message we want you to write in the card for us. So we put that in. And then everything else inside is what they need for the course. So it goes from a workbook with a notebook, a pen. Sometimes the pen is branded, sometimes it's not. One of them, they have, what did they give them? They gave them the workbook, a highlighter, a pen, a pendulum, because they do NLP and hypnosis, right? So they have a pendulum, and like all these extra stuff. And then we have a nice little postcard saying, hey, share on social what you got. And that's what they do, right? And people see this, like, ooh, what's this course? I want to sign up. Look at what I get. And, like, it's not just swag. It's stuff that you need to do your course. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. I love this so much because I actually took a course a few years ago, and she was the former, oh crap, now I'm not going to remember the title she had, but she really was responsible for branding at Virgin Airlines, or just Virgin, the brand.
Yeah.
And it was so interesting because to your point, all of those little touch points matter, and we might overlook them, or we might think it doesn't make a difference. It makes a huge difference. And one of the examples she gave was that, and she has a whole course on this stuff, but at Virgin, I've never had a Virgin Airlines experience, but what she was saying was they have little salt and peppers that are little airplanes.
Oh, no way.
Like little old school airplanes with the propellers and everything like that. And underneath them, in typical sort of cheeky British humor, it says nicked from Virgin Airlines, like stolen from Virgin Airlines, right? Because people were like, oh, these are so cute, I'm just gonna put them in my bag. So like they knew people were gonna steal them, and then they branded that. She said they branded the vomit bags.
Oh, amazing. I love it.
Isn't that crazy? Like branding the vomit bags. So like all of these things, there were these like an attention to detail. It's attention to all the little nuances that actually, to your point, like with the branding isn't just a logo, it's an experience. And oftentimes it's that pre-verbal amygdala part of our brain that is hardwired into that whole brand experience.
Yeah.
I saw it recently also with, I guess it's not Bed Bath, one of those,
Bath and Body Works?
Bath and Body Works. I always get that wrong.
I know. I get mixed them up.
But the inside of their box, right? The inside of their box sort of has this like blue, was it gingham or something like that? That on the inside of the box. So that whole experience, I've seen other brands that'll do the same thing. So I love that. I mean, it's all those little pieces, and that personalization aspect of it as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I shouldn't be talking. This is what you do, but I notice these things as a brand, as a marketer, for sure.
Yeah.
So tell me, like, is there an example like that you can, sort of walk us through, or not really? I probably started to put you on the spot, but
I have some examples of things that we help make, but like I said, like generally, like for example, let's see, we have one of them. Can I name the client? I guess I can name the client, right?
Sure. Hopefully your client's okay with that.
I didn't tell them, but it's all good, I guess. But yeah, Diamond Academy is so they are part of the Bob Proctor
Okay.
Think into Results. So their package is beautiful. We have inside we have a workbook, which I don't have on me, but also included was the Kathleen Cameron. She actually includes she created this Gratitude for Manifestation book.
Great.
Yeah.
So
this wasn't designed or published by me, but I did. So as a printer and a manufacturer, I print these, and we have this one. She has her own book. We have, what else we have included? We just ordered, so I just got in, and I don't have that sample, but we have, because Diamond Academy, so it's a black pen and has a diamond on the end.
Oh, I
right?
love that.
So we engrave the name on there of the academy, and then there's a full size notebook, like it looks like a Moleskine, right? One of those Moleskine knockoffs. So that's the workbook they get to work in, and they get it produced elsewhere by a maker, a full length mala beads.
What's that?
It's like prayer beads, but it's not prayer beads, but they look like it. But it's full length, meaning like you could wear it like quite long on your, because they also come, I think mala beads also come as bracelets as well, but this one's a necklace. So the whole package is put together, and their brand colors are black and gold. So our crinkle paper is also black and gold with black tissue paper. So everything's kind of like, we thought everything through, and they only signed on with me a few months ago. So we're just getting all these pieces in to kind of have a complete package, and it's fantastic, right? And a lot of people kind of like think that this is so cost prohibitive, but if you think about what someone's investing into their program, if you're in the few $1,000s, I'm going to promise you that a package would be on average less than $100.
Yeah.
So, someone texted in here. Is that how it works?
Oh, I guess so. I didn't see it.
Yes.
So I guess yes. Oh,
yes. Lisa says here, a wonderful example is memorable packaging from Bird Dog brand. Yes. But yeah, like all of it. And I mean, like, I think of this because I love, like, I get FabFitFun and all those subscription boxes. And that's kind of also the same thing, right? They have these beautiful boxes that you open up and it reveals all these full-size products and things like that. And you're kind of like, ooh, what's a cool thing for the season?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like a number of things, and a lot of them kind of end up supporting your program. Like there are, for this program, they also have this goal card. So the goal card itself is you're manifest. This is what you're manifesting. So you write down what it is that you put down, a date, you write down what it is that you want to achieve. And then they had me add the card into a plastic sleeve, because the card itself is like, it's like a business card, right? So, that you want to carry it around, but you don't want it kind of damaged. So we put it in the same kind of sleeve that you would put a Pokemon card in.
Okay. And
then that goes into your wallet or your purse, and you carry it with you. And, like I'm going to say, like, I've heard many people who've done this, they've achieved their goal within the time frame or sooner than if you didn't do this at all.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. So all those little things, and we design everything that needs to be designed, all in brand. So, yeah.
I'm going to have to check out that Bird Dogs brand. I haven't heard of that brand before, so I'm going to have to check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what made you decide to go in this direction? What made you like really excited about doing this?
Well, I don't think your audience knows, but the publishing side is a family business, right? So I kind of I moved out of it because we're all done. My family's done. They were all retired. Everybody's done. And, it wasn't necessarily my choice. My passion lies in creating products. I also have this passion for retail as well, but like, it's really creating products. So I like that. Plus, I've also seen many welcome packages, and most welcome packages, I think people know welcome packages actually for employees. They're big corporations, kind of like, hey, we have a new employee, we have to give them the whole employee kit. So some of the brands will be like, let's give them a company shirt. Here's, like you might have a manual, but you also have like all this other swag, like from a mug to a cap, all that stuff. But I think that that's where I kind of felt like, you and I work with like solo entrepreneurs or small businesses, and they don't think that way, and they might not have that big a team, but what they have is the clients that are going through the program.
Right.
Yeah.
That onboarding thing. I have a girlfriend that specializes in that onboarding aspect of things, and I guess now that we're really virtual, it's a whole different than someone sort of showing up to a desk. It's sort of this remote thing. But like that there's a a missed opportunity as somebody who, thanks to you, got to publish your book, to be able to have that experience. And I guess maybe we're gonna have to talk about, Frank, because like anytime I send my book out now, I'm like, what can I do to up my game to make that process a little bit more personalized? Because I do like to write a little note in each, I don't write it in the book. Because, first of all, I kind of feel like they don't. Sorry, but I write a little. Actually, you've done little postcards for me that I write a little thank you note and that kind of follow up. But it would be nicer to sort of make it even a little bit more zhuzhed up, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, like it really, like this all kind of derived. Like I'm very specific now because I think I recognize niching, but we were doing some client gifting as well, right? But again, they have to be your client, and depending on how your company's structured, you might only have like a handful of clients per year, so that's not a lot. We're looking at like and then when you have courses, it's really more about having the many, right? So you could be onboarding hundreds of like participants in a year. So it's really kind of giving them just a little gifts and everything. And but one of my clients actually is, we do their kind of like part of their sales stream. So their book is 100% free. So somebody signs up through a website. It could be through a campaign that they're turning on, or they have maybe one that's kind of like live. The person fills out a form for a free book, and it's automated. It comes through, the form comes through to our computers, and then we ship out a book to that person. And then they do their own follow-ups. And then depending on, what is it they have? Depending on what's happening during the year or a different campaign, sometimes they'll say, hey, Doris, we want to do a different campaign. Can you put these books together? And then when they sign on, then we have a welcome kit. So the welcome kit is part of their program. It's a 1-year program. And in that kit, they have all the worksheets, because we're doing one package. So we originally had a binder with all the modules in it, and we put them in sequence. And then we actually include, there's 2 books that's part of the program, but then there's the same book they got in the marketing sales. Leslie, are you still there? I kind of lost you. I can't see you anymore.
Oh, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, let me just check. It might be my end.
Okay. So Lisa got a comment here. She says, like, employee welcome packages are a powerful and meaningful way to help them connect with their new company, and can really foster a sense of belonging. Absolutely. I mean, I agree with that. And it's these often people don't necessarily pay attention to these little things that can make a huge difference.
Yeah, definitely.
So that experience that you were having with that client, and they were sending out free books, was that sort of a lead magnet in a way? Like, was that a way for them to generate leads? Okay.
Yeah, 100%. So with that client, we ordered, I think, at least 1,000 or 1,500 books, which how my fulfillment service works, which is kind of like, again, like the welcome packages, we do the fulfillment as well. It's not just the package, but our fulfillment service is, like we're kind of like that between stopgap. Like, it's basically, you don't want to store any of the stuff at your house, and you don't want to be putting this in an envelope and driving to the Canada Post and just mailing it out every other day or anything like that. That's where we step in. But you're not so big that you need a full, like 3PL fulfillment center. right? Where
Right.
you have like minimum orders of like $300 a month of fulfillment, and if you don't hit that, you still have to pay it. That's not how we work. You only pay
Right.
what you do, right? So they ordered $1,500 and we stored them, and yeah, every time, like I think I was mailing out like maybe 10 a day. And it was they originated in Australia, but they are a global company, so all the leads come in from all over the world. I was mailing mostly Canada and US, but I think I did some to Europe, some to England, I think. But yeah, we get all those leads and it just gets mailed out.
That's fantastic.
Mhm.
And I know I shouldn't, I don't know if you can drop the names of some of the clients that you work with, but I know you've worked with some pretty big names out there too. Some of
Well,
the packages you've done.
yes, I mean, I don't know if your audience would know them. Obviously, most of my clients are Canadian, so I'm working with Yes Supply, Diamond Academy, who I just mentioned. The one that has the lead generation is Dent International or Dent Global, and they are a coaching program. They coach people on expanding their business and growing their business. Who else do we have?
Can I say somebody that you worked with in the past?
Sure.
Danielle Laporte. You worked with her?
Yes. I helped Danielle with her first planner. I think it was the planner, and then we did her truth bomb cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite a few years ago. Now,
right? I remember these things. I was like, oh, that's so exciting. Yeah, there's a few other people in our circle of friends I think you've worked with too.
Yes.
That have launched some great things and some really pretty things. Some things that are actually, I think I mentioned to you before. So I think it was the Sheila Cummins book.
Yeah.
When she I was like, oh, it's so pretty. I don't even want to. I don't think I ever used it because it was so pretty. It was so pretty. I was like, I don't want to destroy this book. It's so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your retail. You said you are also launching, so because you don't have enough on the go, right? That you have a retail and gift business on top of that as well, right? You said it's called Girl Love Fund, and you're going to be in another one you're launching.
Yeah. So we being my daughter and I. So I co-founded with my daughter quite a few years ago our charitable give back for Liquid Ink. And I was looking at like what can we support and what can we give back, and because I primarily work with female entrepreneurs, what I found was that like my clients are kind of like hesitant about certain things, and like there's some like confidence and so forth, and I supported them by I think we call it coaching, but I'm just kind of like really supportive. It's like, no, you gotta, like reframe things, and you're awesome. You wouldn't be here talking to me if you couldn't do this, right? And I, like my daughter was about 13 at the time, I think, and I was thinking, if we can, like support the girls and have them have the confidence at a young age, then they'll be doing amazing things in the future, right?
Yeah.
So my daughter and I started off with a charitable line of jewelry. So I found some pieces from a supplier that I thought were like beautiful. They were simple. They were like everyone can wear it kind of thing. And I thought, okay, what we'll do is we're going to give 30% of the proceeds to a fund. And that fund is going to support programs for the empowerment of girls from women who there are a few women who have these programs that are not for profit, and they don't have funding. Mm-hmm. So if we can take this, sell some beautiful jewelry for you to gift to anyone, and we just kept everything like I really wanted to keep the price point low too. So all our pieces are 30 or less. And that's how we kind of like 30 or less, 30% goes to the fund, and then the fund supports the programs. Mm-hmm. So that's how it started. And now my daughter is 18 years old, graduated from high school, and she just got into George Brown for jewelry design.
Oh, fantastic. Oh my gosh, she's not a little itty bitty anymore. Where does the time
go? Exactly. So the new thing, and again, like you kind of mentioned it, it really is. That was like, publishing and books was my family's business, but my dream was always to have a retail store. and that's what we're doing. We're opening a retail store. Girl Love Fund is a particular brand, and it's really the charitable from Liquid Ink. But we wanted to open this retail store. So I asked my daughter, this is really, if you want it, I want you to run with it. And because I have my business and, I'm here to support you. So she came up with the name and the idea, and we're kind of like, we're still working with a realtor about the location. But it's called Down the Rabbit Hole.
Awesome. Have you looked into, this is a complete sidebar note, but there's called, I think, Starter Company or Starter Company Plus or something like that. There are, I guess, almost incubators in a sense for out here in the Durham region. It's the Ontario Self-Employment Benefit. No, that's a different place. It's the because that was the program I took to start up my business.
Right.
It's the with SBAC, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a complete blank, and yet she's like a great friend of mine, and they're an amazing. Gosh, I'm drawing a complete blank, but but it's Starter Company. BACD is out here, the Business Advisory Center.
Yeah.
They have these programs, right, for young. For like small business owners, but even for students to start up their own business, and they give a grant. So you have to. Yeah, they give I think it's a $3,000 grant for students, and then $5,000 for people that are a little bit older. But the Starter Company Plus, I think it's called. They do have to do a business plan. They have to go and they take these classes and really start up the whole plan thing. But yeah, I mean, a grant's a grant. So
no, we're definitely looking into that. I've heard about quite a few grants, and that's kind of the other reason I think that she'll do better getting grants, and not for an old lady like me to get any grants. I think we're tapped. I think they're not giving any more for us. Maybe.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But you and I are. I mean, I never thought I was going to be an entrepreneur. Quite frankly, I really never thought I was going to start up my own business. So it's great that this sort of younger generation is inspired to start up their own things, and they're so much more even savvier. We are sort of digital media natives, which is scary, but that they've lived with. That's all they know, right?
Yeah.
So from the standpoint of, like you said, your clients taking these photos and having this Instagram worthy experience from the get-go, and so your daughter, I'm sure, is very probably a really good, solid advisor to you of Mom, this will be really pretty on Instagram.
Yeah. Oh my God, definitely. And same with my team, right? I'm hiring some women who really like the idea of these giftings and these packages. And it's really funny because a lot of clients kind of because there's so many things that you can do. There's so many things that you can gift that you don't even know where to start. Right.
Yeah.
So we're actually developing a few catalogs for our clients just to kind of spark that interest. And I think that that's what I'll be publishing for the next few years, is just these kind of ideas, kind of catalog. And, I don't know if you ever got it, but companies like Anthropology and what was their sister company? I can't remember the name of it, but they, they put out, or they used to mail out these catalogs. And there's it's a fraction of what they have, but it just kind of shows this kind of lifestyle and everything. And that's what kind of inspires you to either purchase something that's in there, specific, or just you kind of oh, I like that feel. That's my vibe. That's my aesthetic. Then you go into the store. So I'm going to be, we just come up with ideas. What do you like to get? What would you like to buy? And we just kind of think about that body and what should, what would you like to receive and be gifted, right? We have one package that we did for them. It's called 6 a.m. Club, and we have a coffee press and a mug and some worksheets that go in there, and that's what and I picked out a really nice coffee press that's kind of just the right size for a cup and a half or a big mug, and I think that they like to receive that.
Oh, I would love it. And the thing is that I know that I get really jealous when I see somebody else's swag. When I've seen, a girlfriend of mine, Emily Bailey, she's an ambassador for Hootsuite. And so she got all these things that were very Hootsuite themed. And I was I don't want to have to do the work for it, but I want all the swag. I want all the cute stuff. And I know MailChimp a while ago, I had some swag from MailChimp years ago. I just love all those kind of things, little touch to things that are, that can really sort of make you feel more endeared. Like it's endearing
Yeah.
to have that experience and to feel special and unique. And I think that that's where big brands sort of miss out a lot, is that they don't necessarily know how to personalize that experience at scale.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the harder part for sure. So that intimacy of what you're creating with that first impression and that relationship is like, you matter to me.
Totally.
Clients really like they matter for sure.
Do
you think some of like what are some of the misconceptions people might have when they they think that the stuff that you're doing? Do people have misconceptions about what you're doing?
Mostly the cost. I think that people think that things like this is cost prohibitive.
Okay, I was going to say the other way. I was going to go like that people think that it's like it should be cheaper, because let me just like ramble on with my thought. Is I remember working with Laura Beauparlon when she first when she used to do wedding invitations, and I remember I was just going through the process of getting married at the time and going like, how much are wedding invitations? Like, these are crazy. And she was like, it's not the dollar store, honey. Like, she was like, in a very sweet way, reminded me that all of this is time, and it's customized, and it's got your name on it, and it's all really setting the tone and the branding for the wedding. And I was like, oh, okay. But I really didn't think that wedding invitations were going to cost as much as they did. So it's that reframe in my head of going like the dollar store price in my head, whereas I would think that. So you're saying that your customers,
well, I mean, I think sometimes it depends on like how you want to see it, right? Like, you can either think that I only have the capacity for a dozen clients a year, because you have like, maybe your clients are, I don't know, like the big projects. So let's say a big project, you have about a dozen clients and they're paying like over $10,000 for what your service you're offering. So like $10,000, like you can gift them something, right? If you think about it, you can gift them something. And then, like,
come on, step it up.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, so you can give them something, and then, like, so that's where they kind of start off, and they kind of like, oh, I have a budget of this much for this client. And then they ask me to brand something, which is fine. But, I'm sure this. I can't just do a dozen of one thing and think that I'm going to get you a good price. You still have to order like a larger quantity, right? So then it becomes if I ordered 100 of them or 150 of them, they kind of say, can I get rid of them? But
what do you mean, can I get rid of them?
Well, like people just think that they have like a lot, right? Like, it's kind of like books. When you publish a book, like they like, I had some people who said, I told them that, like, you need to order a couple hundred copies. And they're like, oh, I don't know if I can sell a couple hundred copies. And I'm like,
that girl.
What's that?
I was that girl, remember? Yeah. Like, I know a couple of people. No way.
But one, it's not always like, like it's really, you just have to reframe the whole thing, right? Like, it's not always about selling it.
Right.
What you really want is to get into the hands of people. So maybe the book's not the perfect example, but like, that's where my client uses it as a lead gen, right? Like, if you think about it, right? Like, if you think about some of our digital lead gens, right? We have like, what are they? Like $27, $37, $47 digital downloads as a lead gen, right? You kind of ask them to buy something. But if you think about it, Leslie, your book is $24.95. That's cheaper than any of the numbers I just said to you, right?
Right.
And they get a physical book.
Yeah.
Right? And so, like, if you conceptually kind of understand, listen, that's a lead gen. So why don't you put that on your page, offer it to them for like $25, mail it out to them. You pretty much cover the cost of the whole thing, and you potentially have a client out of that.
Right. And for me, you said, I was like, how many? I can't order that many books. I'm never. And you were like, listen, trust me. And now, if I go on an important business meeting, right? Here's a copy of my book. I don't look like just some, I just fell out of a whatever, and just that I'm just showing up there. I'm a published author, right?
Yeah.
Fancy. So I know that it was, for me, it was like the new version of a like a business card. For me, it was like the fancy business card. As far as that, and then the speaking stuff that I do, for sure, it's it looks fancy. That's why I say like marketing is a lot of smoke and mirrors. So
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like you could either tell them, hey, my speaker rate is $500, for example, like that's low end, but or like we say, hey, you know what? If you buy like X amount of copies of my book and you can give away at the door or to your VIPs or whatever, that's my speaker fee, right? Like, and people kind of like, I don't know, like, I mean, I'm not devaluing your speaker rate, but like, it's just, if you, in the end, it's just kind of have to turn it around, right? And we just kind of do it the way we need to do it, right? But like, like if let's say you wanted to give something to that $10,000 client, and it happens to be this branded notebook and pen, but I have to order you 100 or 150 minimum to get that produced, then it becomes a yes, that goes into that gift that goes to the 10,000 client. But like, there's that potential client, the one that's like your hot lead or something. You've done your discovery call or whatever it is, and then you want to thank them. Like, do you remember those days when we were like not working for ourselves and we were trying to get a job and we go to the interview? You remember when people said, like sending a thank you card will like impactfully like kind of like keep you top of mind with the hiring manager. So think about it, right? Like if you have this hot lead of another $10,000 contract, and you had your discovery call and so forth, and then you mailed them this notebook and said, hey, I had a great call. I wrote a few more ideas in here, and why don't you take this book to jot down more ideas for the future? And if you, like if you're still interested in working with me, like, could you imagine receiving that?
I can guarantee you there was one situation where I walked into a meeting and was, here's my book. And it's still hard. I mean, I the humble brag of like, oh, so I wrote a book and I'm getting better at it. I'm still not great at it, but that person, the contact there then ordered, I don't know if you really remember, like she ordered like 300 copies and put it in her welcome package. She was putting in her client. It's my book.
Wow.
So,
right?
So you just never know, right? These touch points, these gestures.
Yeah.
It's being remarkable. And you and I are big fans of Seth Godin, right? Yeah. So it's all about how do you create that remarkable experience. And it sounds to me like it's really like it's what is being remarkable is something to make a remark about.
Yeah.
So that certainly stands out. And I love that you're helping out smaller businesses that don't necessarily have, to your point, like that same volume. They don't have these huge budgets of being able to go and order, tens of thousands of dollars worth of stuff.
Yeah.
Then the assembly of, and to your point, like having all of the assembly of all of these different aspects or different pieces of it is also very time consuming. So I don't know how you're doing it all, quite frankly.
Well, that's where the team comes in, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. So there was another question I was going to ask you about, you've always been really good at selling. I mean, you told me that before. You're like, that's one thing that I am good at. And the reason why I even started this podcast in the first place was because I realized as I was writing the LinkedIn profiles for a lot of my clients that imposter syndrome is still real, that like I'm not alone to be like, oh shucks, like, oh, like I say all the time, when you're inside the jar, you can't see the label. Right. So you're so close to ourselves. Sometimes it's hard to get outside and to really, and it's such a Canadian thing in so many different ways, but really it's an everybody thing of promoting ourselves. So how, like, because you've always been really good about being like, no, I'm actually pretty good at this. Yeah. How did you, and that's a great thing. Like, did you ever have to overcome like imposter syndrome, or have you just always been like, no.
I'm going to tell you, okay, so again, back to the publishing side, right? Like when I was doing the service I was doing, I'm going to tell you that technically I felt like I had one competitor in Canada. They're based in Vancouver, and I'm going to name them because I'm not doing the business anymore. They're called Page 2. And they were basically providing the exact same service that I was providing, but they came at it, their knowledge and experience is the opposite end of me. I came from the manufacturing end, right? Like 3-generation book printer. I know how that book is printed, how it's manufactured. And then my my post-secondary education was in photography and graphic design, right? So like I knew how to put it all together. They were the two co-founders actually came from, I believe, from Raincoast Books, when Raincoast was a publisher and distributor. So they decided to shut down publishing and just do distribution. So the two co-founders came from that end. One was a production manager, and the other one, I believe, was either in editing or marketing. So they were coming at it from that end while I was coming up from this end, and we all had the knowledge. And I was like, damn it, like why they had some of our friends, like I offered to publish some of our friends, and they ended up with page 2. So I started to feel like that imposter syndrome and everything, right? But like when I kind of stopped and thought about it, and I was like, I'm sure you've heard this one before, right? Like when you really think about who you are and the experience and the knowledge that brings you to today. My breakthrough was when I started thinking about, wait a minute, I can't be the only child or grandchild of some book printer, right? Because there's other book printers out there, and they have children and grandchildren and whatever. And then technically my brother is, he's got to be the same boat, right? Because he's my brother, and he's also a grandchild of the book printer, right? But then I thought about it. I was like, no, hang on a second. I'm uniquely knowledgeable and qualified to be me. Because my experience, actually, like my brother's the first child, right, of my parents. I'm the second child. He's a boy, I'm a girl. Even though he and I went to the same schools, we immigrated from Hong Kong to Canada, like all that stuff. But every experience makes you who you are, right? And he didn't go to do graphic design and photography. He went to theater. So, like all those things is, so I realized that nobody is me but me. And I don't know if that really makes sense, but that was my breakthrough.
Yeah, and that's nobody knows from your perspective, 100%.
Yeah. So everything that I know and everything that I share with you, all the knowledge that I had when we were publishing your book, I'm the only one who knew to say what I said to you. And that other person that could be slightly like the same, because there are other big printers, like I said, and they have children, they might be in the business, right? But they aren't, and maybe they're not an immigrant. Maybe they weren't a girl, right? Like maybe they didn't go to a French school. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, bringing that unique perspective into it. And I say that all the time. I've sort of borrowed it from, I guess, Marie Forleo, who always talks about that kind of thing. And it really is, and it's, I think part of it getting older, I think has really helped, become more congruent with, I may not know everything, but I'm passionate about what I do know. And what is that Lisa's saying, there's lots of people who do the same thing, but our unique backgrounds inform who we are, what we have to offer, and how we offer. It's so true, Lisa. And hi, Amy. Hi, Amy Riddell. Amy is my friend who is a conference. She's the vice president of some conferences that are run here in Toronto and around the U.S. So cool. Thanks, Amy, for jumping on too. Yeah, absolutely. No, you bring a unique perspective that nobody else brings, and that's something that I love seeing with the next generation. Your daughter's age, my son's age, of they're born with these like lovely little devices in their hand that they see themselves as media agencies. They get it, and of a different generation that we were told, we went to school to sit down and shut up and do as we're told, so we could get a job, sit down and shut up and do as we're told. And now it's like, it's 2022, be a brand, be marketing, be all these kind of things. And Amy's like, go Lancers. That's where we went to high school. Go Lancers. So it's for me, it's like personality. I mean, that's why Amy and I have so much fun, when we're working together, is because we're like, we're not all stuffy. We want to bring our personality into it too. So I think our unique perspective certainly brings, like each person's unique perspective brings value. And it's unfortunate that so many of us still hide behind that. We still don't get that we actually do bring that unique perspective. So I'm just glad that you had enough confidence in me when I was going through this to cheerlead me through the process. Because now that I'm on the other side of it, Doris, I do feel like, yeah, I can do, like, I can tell people, yeah, I was on the social, yeah, I've written a book, yeah, like they're like little things. It's not bragging because I did it, but I remember going through this process with you, going like, this is so awful and awkward, and I've learned so much when we work together, and I've learned since. Sometimes like these things, like you just have to click send. You just have to go. And I'm reminded of Stephen Pressfield. Have you ever read Stephen Pressfield's book about resistance?
No.
Oh, it's so good. Your clients need to know this book. So Stephen Pressfield talks about his book is called The War of Art. And he talks about resistance and how usually when the closer we are to our art, like to actually launching something, the more resistance we feel. And so there's a lot of cheerleading of like, you can do this, you can. And I was terrified and all that. And it was just like, we just have to sometimes just print and send. And it may not be perfect. And that's why there's like, you get to have do-overs, right? So that's what the
second edition is for, right? Or a new book or whatever it is. I found that a lot of the authors that I've worked with, once they've written the first one and they get to the other side, like it's published, it's out in the world and everything, they're like, that was awesome. And they can't wait to write the next one.
I told you that. That happened. As soon as we click send, I was like, I feel like I've never had a tattoo, but from what I'm told, it's kind of the same thing. It was like, that was like, it was painful. It was like, it was like having a baby. You have this like incubation period, and then you have this beautiful baby, and you're like, I love my new baby, and you want another baby because like, after the satisfaction of publishing it and getting it out there and being so proud of what you've done. And in fact, sometimes I look back at things and I go, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe it was me, but why not me, right?
Well, I think for myself, like I've written a couple of books and or chapters in some books where, like even for myself, I mean, I had no problems writing it, but I think that after it published, I didn't really know how to feel, right? Because it's done and like you worked your way up to it. And because like some of them, they weren't solo books, right? So I really didn't jump on the bandwagon necessarily on the marketing of them. But like the first time I had the first person who said, oh my God, that chapter you wrote or that, passage you wrote just like changed my life, or I felt like I wasn't alone. Like, that's when I kind of realized, that's why we were actually doing this, right? It's not for the ego. It's really, you have something to share. You have knowledge to share or you have an experience you want to share. And the thing is that, like, think about the population on this earth, right? Like you're not the only one who experienced this something, and you don't want, and because we're humans, right? We need this connection. And you want to like feel like you're not the only one. And now you're reading someone's story that's like, there's similarities, and you kind of realize, oh my God, that person survived it. That's why that's why I get to read this story, right? And like, so I can do it too, right? Like, like I even have a writing coach, like who's really my editor. So my editor, I am working on a solo book. So my editor is kind of like, man, Doris, like, God damn it. Like you're a solo mom, and you did it all. You started the business. You're very successful. You have your own house, car, whatever. Your kids like thriving and everything, right? Like you did it, like I could do it. Right? Like I could start my own business. And that's really the thing. Like, like I'm like I said at the beginning, like I support and serve female entrepreneurs. And what I found is like, okay, I'm not going to really get into it, Leslie, but like the patriarchy and everything, right? Like the stuff that, we all grew up with. And then you add on like cultural stuff and everything, right? But like, like to kind of like realize how much you were held back, right? Like for me, like how I was raised, I was told that I was like pretty second-class citizen, right? Like in my own family, because I was female, and like you're just not worthy of anything, right? Like, which is horrible, like horrible. Yeah. But like but then to realize, like, like I've heard and seen some women who were married and like they had their husbands that were holding them down, or like everybody was pulling them down. And I'm there to kind of say, listen, like, you could do this, right? Like nothing's really stopping you, right? And then like to what you were saying about resistance, when they get close to it, it's amazing. Like that's really where you kind of see the people like who make it through in the entrepreneurship, is like they have to push past that, right?
Yeah. For me, it was having worked at Wedding Bells and Fashion Magazine. I think for me, I knew that errors happen. I mean, we would publish, like, it was at fashion, it was almost every month. It was 10
issues
a year. And then with Wedding Bells, 2 issues a year, but those were like Bible, like they were so big. And there always errors. Like it always happened. And so I think that really helped me with like publishing the first edition, was like, there's going to be errors. It's going to happen. In fact, I noted, like, somebody who is an editor pointed out to me that my forward is spelt wrong. I put like F forward without, there's no E in it. So he was like, was that meant to be like moving forward? And I was like, no. Well, I write for a living, right? Like, and I was like, oh yeah. So, I mean, accidents happen, or like, errors happen, and it happens with, I mean, we've all seen it. You're reading a book and you're like, ooh, there's a spelling error.
Yeah.
Of course, that's when I think I'm smarter than, the big big publishing house. Like, oh, I caught that one and you didn't. But listen, accidents happen. We're all human. And at the end of the day, it's like we just do the best. And like Lisa's saying, like, we need to own those experiences, own those accomplishments.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's been easy. And I think the next generation, the Generation Z, is certainly going to be a lot more empowered, because they have been on camera since they were little, like whether mom's been taking the videos of them or they're doing their own YouTube channel and things like that. I think they're going to be a lot more comfortable with creating that brand for sure than we were, because it's just foreign and unknown. And I just find there's so many people that are terrified, even when I'm writing their LinkedIn profile, of like, I got to talk about my accomplishments. And I'm like, you did them. So like, let's put them out there. Because I mean, I think to your point of owning the value of that, is it's also, you're doing a disservice to your network. You are not sharing that you're really good at what you do.
Yes.
And you are good at what you do. You're not just like blowing smoke, and then you're doing a disservice from holding yourself back, because people need to know that. Like, people really need, like, as I said, like, I couldn't have done it without you. I needed that cheerleading. So, it's, if you had held yourself back and been like, oh, I kind of like sort of maybe publish books once in a while or something like that, I'd be like, oh, well, she doesn't have confidence in like what she's doing, then why the hell should I invest in her, right? So
Totally.
I think value is so crucial. And it's, I don't know, maybe we should do a workshop on that, because I think that there's a lot of people out there that are really struggling with that. And I love that you're helping young girls, young ladies really own that, because I think that there's such an opportunity for them to really come into owning their value and doing whatever makes them like happy, and making a lot of money at the same time. Make money and give it back.
I mean, I definitely believe that it comes. If you chase the money, it's an uphill battle for sure. Yeah. But if you just like release to it, right, and just believe in what you're doing and so forth, it just comes naturally. Like, you won't even notice it, kind of idea, right?
Especially when you're coming from a place of service. I think when we're out there educating and doing this for other people, it's not about us.
Yeah.
It's really about the other people, then it does. I believe in, I'm all about that. And I think that's another reason why we work together, because I know about that too, is like helping to empower people to do these things. So I'm excited. And you're inspiring me with all sorts of, like, oh, what could I do next? And I originally, when I thought about like launching, I think I told you I wanted to do like playing cards or something, because the hardest part for me getting people excited about LinkedIn is like, how do I get them to take action? So maybe we'll have to brainstorm about some ideas about what to do next, because I love LinkedIn, but it's not user friendly. It's not sexy. It takes a lot to get people motivated to actually use it. So I don't know, to think about it. How do we gamify it is really the question out there. Anyway, that's a whole other story.
Totally.
I can't believe it's like 3:00 already. So
I have a call at 3, so I think we need to wrap this up too.
You have, pardon?
I have a call at 3. I thought we were we are only doing this for an hour, right? Am I?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is how fun and casual it is, right? having a chat between us girls, and I'm glad that Lisa and Amy joined the conversation with this as well. So so tell people how they can get a hold of you. How can they reach you? Because you're no longer on LinkedIn, which I know is a whole other story.
I know.
But I'm gonna have to like. Come on,
yeah, totally. I think that's going to be another conversation, but I think I would love to do this again with you. But right now, you can get a hold of me probably just by emailing me, doris@liquidink.ca.
Liquid Ink. So it's liquidink.ca, right?
Yeah, ink, INK, yeah, .ca. Because everything's being updated. We're getting a new website, and but right now that's basically it. It's just people get through to me through Facebook, sometimes message through Instagram if you could find me, and then just email straight directly to me, and I'm happy to help.
Awesome. Well, I know you've got a call, so I guess we'll leave it here. So thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Excited about your new adventures, and that I definitely, there's somebody else that I know that wants to write a book. So if you're still doing that, or at least if you're still doing it, then I'm going to send in your way. But if you have other partners that do that, then I'm going to definitely get in touch, because there's people out there wanting to write books. So
yeah, definitely,
and create welcome packages now too.
Yeah.
All right, sweetie, thank you so much.
Thank you. All right.
We'll talk soon. Bye for now.
Bye.